I know that I've heard you and Eric talk about in the interviewing process. Let's shift.
Yeah.
Life story plays a big role in
Huge.
your interviews. And so tell us about why Career Night's so important and what's different about the way you guys go as in depth with it as you do.
Yeah, I think Career Night works really well for a couple reasons. First off, anybody that applies, I'll just breeze through what we do. The first thing we always do is we go and creep on people, frankly. And I'll say this, I spend about 2 seconds looking at somebody's resume to make sure there's not grammatical errors. I don't even read it. Like, I don't care about it. It doesn't really matter that much. I just make sure, can they write complete sentences? That's usually what I'm looking for. Then we go and creep on Facebook. And there's so much data out there about somebody. Make sure it's the right profile, by the way. That's one of the biggest things. Don't see that. And really what I'm looking for is this person treating people extremely poorly? Are they constantly posting things that are hateful or angry? That's just not a culture fit. And I don't want to waste their time. And that honestly weeds out a good amount of people. So we're looking at that. We make sure that they're not treating people poorly and doing terrible things. But then they get invited to our Career Night. And it's a really good opportunity for two things. You to mass share information about the role, the standards, the expectations. And what we do is our ISAs are there to talk about how this is going to be a 50 to 70 hour per week commitment. We are very clear about what's going to happen in this role. I think way too many people sugarcoat it, and our Career Night is the anti-sugarcoat. If anything, we're trying to sell people not to work at Hatch Realty, frankly, because I want them to hear what sucks about the role, and I want to scare them. We go in there and we're honest, and if they get scared, that's great. Let's cut them out of the process right now, right? Because then I don't have to do a 3-hour interview with you when this is not what you want. Our final interview that we do is scheduled for a 3-hour interview. And they know that. They know what they're committing themselves to. And really the first 90 minutes, and sometimes more if it takes it, is honestly learning somebody's life story. And it's as simple as this. We start with, I say, well, Jay, bring me back to when you were a little kid. How and where did you grow up? And start there.
Literally life story.
Story, right. And I'm not digging into, types of things. The funny part is when you ask a question like that, they bring everything up that's important. And I'm trying to find out a couple things out. What's the best thing that's ever happened to somebody? What's the worst things that have ever happened to somebody? Okay, when have they failed, when have they succeeded? And I let them guide it, because it's crazy. You ask that question, let's go back to when you were a little kid, how did you grow up? And the way they answer those things, you're gonna see cracks. Some people are gonna say that they really dislike their mom, or their mom left them, or whatever the story may be. And here's the thing, if somebody's wearing a mask, this is what they're gonna do. They're not gonna answer. They're going to give you very, very surface level responses.
I was going to say, they're very superficial, we say.
Yep, they're going to say, well, I grew up middle class and it was good. Is that really your story? There's so much more there. And here's if there's, and it's just like lead generation calls, the best script for this, the best question is always, well, tell me more about that, Jay. And you're always going to see, whether you're speaking to a lead or speaking to you, what happens is this: there's a moment where it feels like time stops. And they usually take a breath in. And it's almost like the person is sitting like, am I going to do this? Am I going to do this? And they're like, ah, screw it. And then boom, it pops out, man. It's like, because here's the thing, you'll find out things in interviews that people don't tell their spouses, best friends. Because the biggest issue that human beings have is we're all focused on talking, and we really fail to listen. And when people get that opportunity, whether you're speaking to a lead or somebody that's sitting across from you that you're thinking of hiring, you allow them to speak, and I promise you, the biggest barrier to them opening up will never, ever be them. It's always you. It's you interrupting, you subjecting, you saying, you talking. And what you need to do is, frankly, just listen, and listen hard. That's it. That's what you got to do.
You guys apply that same thing to the investigation, to the background checks. Most people either don't do them. To be honest with you, the vast majority of people don't ever check a single reference.
Yeah.
You guys have a very novel approach to that. Expand on how you guys focus on reference checks.
So I think we take these same ideas of learning about somebody when we go into the reference checks, in the questions that we ask. We don't settle, oh, would you hire this person again? Yeah, I would. And even if I ask, I'm going to say, okay, but tell me why. And I'm going to say, what red flags do you have with that person? And I'm not going to settle just for surface. It's the 3 deep, like you had said. But more importantly, we don't ever just end a reference call just wrapping it up and saying thank you. Rather, what we do is we ask, who are 3 other people you think I should speak to that would give me some insight into who this person is and their character? In other words, usually, right, we get 3 to 4 references from somebody, and what we're always doing is we're then actually, and it's funny you said 3 deep, but we're bringing it and we're asking those people for 3 more layers. And here's the thing, it's really funny because who's going to put a reference on their reference check? Who's going to say bad things about them?
Nobody. Yeah, exactly.
Nobody. What happens is that when you go into those other layers, you find somebody who's traditionally maybe willing to give you a little more honest feedback on who they are.
Interesting. Or they will refer you back down. But I want to reinforce, people, listen. You know, Robby's talking about such an inordinately high amount of effort going into picking the right individual. Pearls, wisdoms that we hadn't talked about, you know, sage thoughts that we should have asked.
I think to put a bow on all that is you either spend an unordinary amount of time up front vetting and connecting with people that you think about hiring, or you're going to spend an inordinary amount of time dealing with problems, headaches, solutions, firings, turnover on the back end. It's the whole idea of you need to slow down to speed up. And again, the biggest thing that we've learned is culture is what matters most to us. It's protecting that culture. And if people fall out of culture, by the way, not just in hiring, if somebody falls out of culture, we need to make sure that they recognize that and take steps to improve, or people will select themselves out. And you got to be willing to do that as well. You got to protect your culture at all costs, because if you don't, what is there really left to, go to?